Hello, what's up everybody? Back again with another video. Today's video is going to be about conjure. In Creole, it's conjurer, or we can look at conjuration, which is conjuration. Now, most people start about conjure when we come to this word, we think of a person making apparitions appear, or ghosts appear, and stuff like that, or making spirits appear. Those of us who are into Goetia, we hear about conjuration and stuff like that, you know. Now, let me explain this. Let's move away from all the fantasy. Conjuration or conjuration is not about making like ghosts appear. It's about causing events to happen, which you can say is which is very trippy and mind-bending, because it's like, let's just say this: everything in this universe is visual, you know. I mean, those of us who read about quantum physics and stuff like that, we hear about collapsing wave functions. Things like that depend on the human mind in order to bring things into existence. So therefore, if I'm not looking at something, basically the potential, everything collapses back into non-existence, into potential whatsoever. Heisenberg's theories, etc. You know, or Schrodinger's cat theory whatsoever, you know what I'm saying? Basically, when you're not looking at things, basically, you can say that they don't have a reality. It's human beings that enter into things and didn't bring them into existence itself. So when you talk about magical workings itself of conjure, it is as though you're creating events. So therefore, when you step out, like a prime example, you got a Bramelin talisman. You know, you have a Bramelin talisman. I think I made a video about that way back whatsoever. Basically, I remember I was working with it. They said one talisman causes fights and wars. I went to the corner store. Basically, I had the talisman in my pocket. I powered it up before I left my house. I went to the corner store, and I basically saw like basically a big ass argument about to go down, which was, sound like it was about to lead into a fight whatsoever. So basically, on a visual note, I walk outside my house. Holy shit! Basically, I go to the corner store. This is what I see with my two eyes. See, people, they focus on the physical things that they can touch in reality. So when you start getting into conjure, it's not about, yes, it is encompassing things that you can touch, but we can look at the root word of meaning something that appears, making reflection back to the universe as being visual. So even people who understand, who are into Buddhist philosophy, understand that everything is visual. Perception. This universe is like built on perception. You know, how you perceive things itself, you know. Basically, you can look at an event and it's good in a good way. You can also look at it in this bad way. You know what I'm saying? So we can talk about things in ethics with visual, on a visual note, but it can go deep into metaphysical. And that's why I say before, I said recently on a post, do not trust your eyes. Because prime example, let me talk about a conjuration thing on a conjuration note, is that you can do a ritual to basically, let's just say, to do something. Let's just say the work backfires on you. You know what? Let me just play this. You can do a ritual, and when you do this ritual, things come into existence. But the prior condition that you were in, that's what it always is. But now when you do your ritual, what happens is that circumstances change, and boom, all of a sudden, now you're at this job. Now you're doing work for magic, for money and stuff like that. You did this, and that's where it led to you basically having the money. So therefore, another thing would be on a darker note. Let's just say you got work that backfires on you, and all of a sudden you get a notice for, like you say, like you're doing work to basically get a home, whatsoever. Now you get a notice where you're staying at. Because the work backfired, you get a notice that you're evicted whatsoever. Now they come up with all types of random reasons why you're evicted whatsoever. Now, prior to that eviction notice, you didn't know anything was, you didn't know nothing about it. Everything was all good. Now your work backfired on you. So the rationale on the physical plane is that, oh, you were a rowdy tenant whatsoever and all this other type of shit. Now, you didn't know anything about this. This is just something that just came up. So in manifestation, the visual of it is that, boom, you get a notice that you're going to be evicted whatsoever, you know? And the reason is, but that's the mind-bending thing about it, is that these scenarios get created, you know, and they are reality. A good movie I would tell people to watch is The Butterfly Effect. You know, basically The Butterfly Effect Part 1 whatsoever. Watch that movie because it is definitely a good movie that explains what I'm talking about, because everything is visual. You know, everything is visual. So the rationale, you know, in this example was that everything got created in the universe to make it appear as though this is what happened. But in reality, it is what happened. But in your mind, you know that none of this existed before you did your work. And this is a trippy thing about conjure work, you know, basically magic in general. Conjure, now when we talk about magic, that is just a term. This is a term to explain things from a visual perspective on magic itself. Some people came up with the word conjuration, conjure, whatsoever, because they understood that things manifest, you know, and they looked at the world as being visual, from a visual perspective, you know. So that was a perspective which these people, whoever came up with the word conjure, came about whatsoever, you know. I mean, it's like common sense would tell you when you have deep spiritual knowledge and you begin to understand how conjure happens, you can come mostly everyone's going to come to that conclusion whatsoever, you know. But this is just one perspective of looking at magic itself, you know. There's ways of looking at magic as being, you know, you can look at it from a term of being magical, you know, where you just talk about the herbs and stuff like that. You can look at it as, you know, a form of hoodoo itself, you know. I mean, but then people will say that this hoodoo is basically a lineage thing whatsoever. But again, when we're talking about magical workings, it's different terms to basically describe magical workings itself, you know. And, you know, and that's pretty much different perspective about one thing that's occurring or happening, or magical working whatsoever, you know. So I definitely hope this video is informative. Don't want to ramble on anymore. I think I said everything I need to whatsoever, you know. Like and subscribe, everyone. Thank you for watching.